Hey Wayne, I wanted to make a comment on the secret knowledge, the wars, and I want to give you my perspective on the whole big picture here. It kind of goes along with some of yours, and then I'll just explain it, because I absolutely don't know how to put this into words in a comment. This planet does not belong to mankind. It never did. It was stabilized by the moon so that we could live here. It has to do with science, biology, and chemistry. Our sun is basically like the nucleus of an atom, and we are just whirling around in its existence. It's almost like being in an egg in this solar system. The third rock from the sun housed three-toed beings, the birds and reptiles. This planet is theirs. We are the aliens. We're five-fingered beings. We come from what you would call Tiamat, or what's left of the asteroid belt. Back when Sagittarius entered into the spring equinox, Jupiter came into this system. It was like fertilizing the egg. At that point, the fifth planet from the sun was destroyed. The moon was brought here to stabilize Earth so that it could house mankind, mammals. Mostly what was on this planet were the fishes of the sea. It was a water world. The mammals, as we know them, really were not here. All beings on this planet laid an egg. We had dinosaurs and these huge beings, but they all laid eggs. The fifth planet, Mars, took the heat when Jupiter came into this system back in almost 3/4 of a turn of the zodiac. So, and it's a lot longer than 25,000 years. I've calculated it out at about 40,000 years. So about 25,000 years ago, this happened, and the Earth was restabilized. At that point, those of us there were some taken from the fifth planet, Tiamat, and planted here. Mars was destroyed. They have a colony here as well. They were planted in the Middle East. The Tiamat family was planted in the Americas, or what you would know as Atlantis. You had some that were coming here from Jupiter and Saturn. But at this time, those from Jupiter have been here, taken over what Mars had done. Mars is the war planet, and they joined forces with them. Mars is used by Saturn and Jupiter as a jump platform for war against this planet. But I assure you, the reptilians are not aliens. We are the aliens. This is the third rock from the sun. Birds are indigenous here. If you'll watch, the three-legged creatures can teach you much more than any other being. They're more adaptable on this planet. They live longer. The tortoises, them big sea turtles, they can live hundreds of years. We have parrots that outlive their owners. They can live to be 90, 100 years old. They are a migratory species. The Native Americans were migratory. They wore the feathers in their hair. They've always considered themselves the bird people, the bird tribes. The Nazca is another outlay of a zodiac that has a lot to do with the migration of the bird tribes. There's a lot of evidence here before the flood. The zodiac was changed. Before the flood, water was next to the earth. Now fire is next to the earth. We seen the battle you were discussing here is when literally as Moses was coming... Wow. Pause. Sorry. But as Moses was coming out of Egypt, there was also another exodus that was occurring on the other side of the Middle East, what you would call the Kuiper Pass. And this great exodus, just like out of the age of earth into the age of fire, and to these fire gods, Molech, Ahura Mazda, Vulcan, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him, which is actually Jupiter, and that's the age of water, not to confuse those two gods. How do we tell the difference between the gods? How do you know when a god, which god is speaking, being as we call all of them just God? You know them by their words and by their symbols. That's how you know them. If you're empath, you can detect the archons by their frequency or their vibrations that they throw off. Some vibrations are destructive and some vibrations are creative. It's difficult for me to say these words bad and good because in duality, because if a man is bad, does that make woman good, and vice versa? This is another trick of the spell in the language that they use with us. It is a word we should eliminate from our vocabulary because it takes both. The battery doesn't work if you doesn't have the positive and the negative. We must have this. But when the energy that's produced is being used for destruction, therein lies the problem. It's like the problem's not the person. I mean, not the gun, it's the person holding the gun, right? It's not the energy, it's those using this energy. And the dark side has been using this energy to stay in power far too long. The veil's coming down and we're all going to wake up. That has, it's not like we got to run around shaking everybody. That really is the Holy Spirit's job. I see the point right now is to open the door as wide as we can for as many as we can, for an opportunity to step into this next age without all the baggage from the last age. All this fear porn that's being pumped out there and confusion does nothing but anchor people in the past. We can come at these topics in a knowledgeable way, taking the fear away with really logical, rational explanations. But to say we're being invaded by aliens, in my view, is backwards. It's part of the backwards thing they did with the language. It's part of the backwards thing that they did with everything. This world's upside down. It's like bad is good and good is bad. They would have you think this statue of Baphomet is all evil, when in reality it represents the great wisdom of heaven on earth. God with man, if you will. And but it is being represented to us by the Jupiterian influences on this church as something we should fear, run from, shun, hate, and even give our lives to fight against and destroy, when it is the very thing we should embrace. It is the future, and there's nothing evil or wicked about it. Evil can only live in two places, and that's in the hearts and minds of men or people. It's not like a dog is maliciously, his intent is malicious out of his will. A dog is malicious when he is in fear. When he's in attack mode, it's about survival. But malicious intent, even the smartest among the animal kingdom, they don't use that. Only mankind uses that. But we're from the fifth planet, the five-fingered beings. That pushes Saturn to number 6. Jupiter is the sixth planet. It's the problem. It's the 666. We've been in it so long that we're not accustomed to what it is. It's the fake good. And if there's anything ever on this planet that was the fake good, the faux pas, the false religion, it was what came out of the Vatican that has been propagated on this planet for over 2,000 years. When you talk things like Saturn eats his children, hello, it's time. Saturn is time. So time eats all things. How do you get your children back that Saturn ate? They changed the zodiac. They switched it around. There will not be another great war of fire on the earth until about 6,000 to 7,000 years from now. What we're facing now is still that battle between fire and ice. The majority of the wars that are going to occur are going to be on the water or coastal. They will not be inland. The time of that is coming to an end. Right now, all of the gods are in play. They're all playing their part, bringing in this next age. This last age must be destroyed. Egypt was destroyed when Asia rose up. Africa had to decline. Rome destroyed the Alexandrian Library. Rome destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. So likewise, Rome must be destroyed for the next age to come in. Everybody's propagating fear that this is going to happen in Americas. No. No, there is a construct here that has to come down. This false form of government they want to call democracy that they've inflicted on the peoples of North and South America, it's coming down. It will not be replaced by any type of government that we know of today. Things are going to be very different in the future. But Europe must decline. As John the Baptist said, I must increase I must decrease as he increases. So there's going to be a great falling away from the church like we haven't seen yet. And it's going to be when the real truth comes out. But unless we take the knowledge that we have and put it in its proper perspective and order, it is still confusion. You still leave people with more questions than answers, and confusion or Babylon is what we truly need to move away from. I understand about having to talk to them like they're children to dumb it down, because we're all newbies at this. We've walked into a brand new world, and so it must be learned and deciphered all over again without any previous knowledge having its influence. If you're going to bring the influence of previous knowledge, it needs to be properly interpreted. And that's hard to do with all the bibble babble and the control of what is written or published on this planet. Knowing that 100% of it is authorized by the Jupiterian influences working alongside Mars. But both of them are fixing to be pushed out of the way, and their power is slowly being stripped from them as people realize this is not our Father who art in heaven God, right? This is not Creator God. These are our masters. These are slave drivers. In the Bible, it explains it to us that the man owned the farm and he went away and left his servants in charge. And then he sent his son and they killed him. You know, everybody, they send the messenger and they kill him. And they've seized everything. I mean, let's face it, the tutors and the stewards were supposed to be serving humanity, and instead they have served themselves to our inheritance. And that is North and South America, the Vatican backing them as they did it. Kings rule war, and the Vatican rules the people into the wars for the king. I don't care what religion you talk about today, they have all been infiltrated by the Jupiterian mystery schools. In Arabic, Jupiter is known as Mustari, the mystery. And even the Sikhs, the Punjabi, they have a baptism, which automatically initiates them into the mysteries of the waters. It's water mystery is what it is. The Hebrew influence on this planet, along with those who wear the color yellow, you will find them in China. They are initiating the fire magic on this planet. Air magic belongs to South America, and North America is inherited to Capricorn. The new Pope, the new religion, the new government will all be run from North America. And they will be one. It will be Pan. It will be Baphomet. North and South America will be one. We're going to get past all of this. Anunnaki is an encrypted word. It means a new knowledge and a new wisdom as a new zodiac. To come from Jupiter into this world, how it's written, is wrong. They came from Europe into Asia. That's what happened. The Jupiterians were always in Europe, and they came down into Asia. Right now, they're paying for that, because you fight fire with fire. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you live by the words, you die by the words. They lived by invasion. That's what they do. And now they are being invaded by the people who worship the fire gods. So you have the battle of fire and ice going on right now as the migrants are overwhelming Europe. You can say Europe is on fire symbolically, because that's what's happening. A mass migration of fire worshippers into the land of water and ice. They are reaping what they have sown. Because Rome also destroyed the knowledge of Africa and sought to rule it as well, it too will have its vengeance on Rome. The new capital in the Americas in the ages, to me, the first flight was taken in Kitty Hawk, but the name Lima, Peru, literally means the house of Thalem. And if you do the alchemical linguistics on it, it's the same thing. Per is TH, and then you have Lima, which is just Alum backwards. So it's the house of Thalem. It is the Aquarian. North America would be the head part of Pan, the goat. So to me, the new church, the new religion, will be an astronomical observatory that will be established in Lima, Peru. A lot going on down there with the changing of the guards and the changing of the ages. And we're going to get a lot of false people in power until this is settled. And it will be settled from the heavens. The frequencies are going to change. We're going to shift from a negative zodiac sign to a positive zodiac sign. Right now we're in the middle and it's shifting back and forth. It does this for 216 years. At that point, sorry about that. At that point, we got a mixing of energies, and that is a lot of confusion going on. But when we meditate and center ourselves on that one frequency, instead of that collage of frequencies coming at us that creates the chaos, the fear, the unknown, the confusion, the sickness. Oh my goodness, what this does to your body, having to shift those energies back and forth. It can disrupt your thought patterns, your nervous system, your heart rate, everything. I mean, it's going to affect everything. As we move into this age, it's going to be a time of growth, not destruction. So we'll live longer. Everything is going to be like going back to giant trees, right? Everything's going to be astronomical, like you put Miracle Grow on everything. But instead of GMO, it's going to happen naturally, not by chemicals, but by frequencies of energies that are going to be emitted from Saturn instead of of Jupiter. And we get this blessing for a long, long time on this earth coming. And that's the direction we need to start moving the people in. Out of the fear into a better understanding. This world was a gift to us. It's not ours. And the reptilians allowed us to be here. They're not really our masters. They understand that the frequency on this planet changed. They can no longer be the giants they used to be. They actually understand the alchemical transmutation that occurs on this world, and it repeats the cycle 4 times for one turn. And it's purifying is what it's doing. It's taking the dross from life on this planet, and we're like inside of an egg, and when we bust out of this body, our souls become, we are just magnificent beings. I fret to use the word God, because we're just creative consciousness is what we are. And this is like school. You will not be allowed to use this power till you learn to control this power. And you learn all about it. And the transmutation is what brings humanity through that. By trial, error, and experience is the best teacher. Sorry this took so long, but I didn't want to leave that long comment there. And I don't want to confuse your viewers on my comments can not necessarily align with yours all the time. I believe there are other worlds around us, other dimensions. Actually, I don't believe, I know. I can step in and out of them. I did it all the time as a little girl, and then because of fear and what other people told me, I stopped doing it for a long time. Now I try to do it whenever I can find. In a way, I guess you would consider it like meditating, to where I can just step right the hell out of my body or this dimension. I know dimensions are layered by frequency and waves. They don't, you know how they say there's one right beside us. There's another dimension and a whole bunch of people living in this plane right here with us. In all actuality, they are layered. So there's one above us, and then there's a frequency below us. Right now, there's so many frequencies being jammed in the airwaves. It's amazing if you stop and think of the construct of what Wi-Fi is and all this cell phone technology and how all this information is flying through the air at one time, and yet we can focus or dial in on that one frequency. And we can dial in on a frequency and watch a video that makes it's all about fear, and it makes us sick and ill. Or we can zone in on a frequency on a video that's teaching us truth and knowledge and growth and healing, because we are a wounded, traumatized people. And the only thing that's really going to heal us is compassion and truth and good old Father Time. But we need to start learning to read symbolically instead of trying to take things at face value, especially being as all the knowledge that we have is tainted by the Jupiterian influence. And once you learn how they cast the spell, when you look at the information, whether it be books and words or media, art, or archaeology, you can read through it, and you can know them by their words, their deeds, and their symbols. Okay, I think I've said enough. All right, Wayne, let's get together and do another show. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going to happen. My life's in a big transition right now. I've had a lot of things going on I've not been able to reveal on the internet, but my living situation was becoming intolerable. My roommate became very jealous that my channel exploded and that I was spending more time not serving my roommate. So I was being sabotaged, and I had to leave. So currently, while I'm scouting around for another place to live, I have planted myself in a hotel. It's a little expensive, but after what I've been through, I think I deserve the rest and the peace and quiet, which gives me a chance to actually catch up on some of these charts. And I really want to get back with you and do a show together and even talk about some of this if you're willing to do it. I understand it in a biological, chemical, scientific way, but I also understand that a lot of this information, Zechariah Sitchin was Jesuit trained. The Dead Sea Scrolls were translated at Jesuit universities. Everything is filtered by Jupiterians. But learning their language and how they do it, once you do it for so long, that pattern just starts to click. You see it everywhere and everything, and instead of condemning it, it's deciphering it and telling the truth of it. And the truth is not really that bad. It's not. We don't have it as bad as they would have us believe here. There's more hope than we ever considered, and it's right around the corner. We are at the event horizon. We are truly in the time of the war between water and sky, and that is the event horizon, where water meets sky. I call it the late night double feature picture show. For a few years now, I've been telling everybody we're at intermission. You're at the drive-in. All the stars are out. We've watched the first event. All right, that's the story we've been told. Call it Christianity, whatever your life was. That was the first event. We are now at intermission. That means it's time to go to the snack bar, mingle around, take a piss, whatever you got to do, and sit down and buckle up, because now it's time for the main event. And the show's getting ready to start. All the characters are on stage as we speak. They've put them there. And the great play's fixing to begin. Well, I said this was fixing to end, but it's not, because I'm just going to go ahead and put part 2 right here. I Pet Goat 2. The teacher is not a teacher. That's Oprah, and it's the opera. They're telling you what the story is. You're in the schoolhouse. It's our winter of discontent. In the 23rd Psalm, you are in the valley of the shadow of death. The little girl with the apple is the moon. She starts off in a bright light, and then you see the light closes on her just like it does the moon. It's a waning moon. And when the moon is waning, she dropped her knowledge. The apple represents the forbidden fruit of knowledge, and it fell to the feet of Obama. Obama was given the knowledge of the moon and the 28 mansions. In the Picatrix, the most valuable icon that can be created to cast a spell is a black man. He was the image. He was the icon. It's created to make great wealth. To me, Obama's is an anagram for Sambo. And I think we both know who little Sambo is. And that was the story they played. Without us realizing it, we got told the story of Tar Baby and Burr Rabbit and Little Black Sambo. Now, I grew up with that, so I remember the story. A lot of people here don't get it. And it's done in that southern slang to where you not read between the lines, but read between the syllables. And you throw away that oath of the vowels of L, and then you can begin to read the real story of what's being told there. It was a magic spell that was cast on the whole world to create great wealth for those who cast the spell. He was a living, breathing icon image created for the Picatrix. And when he realized that is when you seen that sweat. Because when they're through with him, they will end up destroying that icon so no others can use it. When when they play the last card that is of any value with him, he's a goner. And that's how they do this. Those images must be destroyed to break that spell when it is finished, to culminate it. And he knows his time is marked. The puppet master. In the beginning, you're shown that George Bush is a puppet, right? So who is the puppet master? We're shown that later. It's the media. The media is the puppet master. They're the ones playing the song that we dance to. They're the ones programming the population, because the Jupiterian mystery schools control all the media, all the music. They're driving humanity into chaos. They're trying to set up those who are supposed to inherit the future and to steal it for themselves, making a claim, you are not worthy. But we're waking up, the veil's coming down, they're trying to throw up everything they can to cover it, but we're all going to walk out of the fog soon enough and set things right. And they will be stripped of their powers. Their magic wands will no longer work. Their Western astrology is already dead. It no longer has any power to it. It's two-way, out of sync. And then the frequencies that are coming from the heaven are going to finish that off. So, all right. I'm going to leave that there for the second time. And leave comments if you want. I'll comment back. And let's get together while I've got some quiet time on my hands and set up some time to do a video, or maybe even a couple, just so you can have them on deck while I have this precious quiet time. All right, R. Wayne Steiger, my friend, have a great day. And I always say, commit that random act of kindness every day and bank your karma. And you're kind one to another. Great Jars of Clay song, Worlds Apart. And in it, the little girl says, be kind one to other. And that's what we all need